The train now standing in platform number 4 at Clydebridge station is not a Network South East operated service. It would be pretty good if it was, wouldn't it? Hello everybody and welcome to a special edition of Clydebridge station. It's being filmed on a very sunny summer's evening, and it's very appropriate because it was in the summer of 1986, June the 10th to be precise, that one of the most radical changes ever in British rail occurred. Network South East was born. Now in this short programme it's not going to be a running session, but we're going to be taking a look back at 35 years since Network South East launched. I'll be telling you a bit about the history of Network South East, and we'll also be telling you a bit about the rolling stock that it used, and I've got a real gem of publicity that was in Rail magazine in early 1991 that I've got as well to let you see. But we have to start at the beginning. To understand the Network South East story, we need to wind the clock back a lot further than 1986. Under the leadership of the then BR chairman Sir Peter Parker, there was a desire by central government to see certain aspects of the railway pay their way, and there were also concerns raised by particularly the metropolitan PTE authorities such as Tyne and Wear, Merseyside, that there wasn't enough focus being given to some of the less profitable lines, and that all the focus in each region was on the main services. It was felt that there needed to be management to run the commuter services and the services in the provinces. Under the new business plan from BR, the operation of the railway was changed, and that whilst the regions still existed, they would now just become production services. In other words, they would not organise the trains and be involved in publicity or fairs, etc. Instead, business sectors were created, and they would run the trains, manage the stations, and decide on fares and publicity. And it must be mentioned as well that the staff such as stations and depots all remained employed by the regions. In other words, services were being reorganised. Instead of being organised on a regional basis, they were being organised by traffic type, and there were 5 sectors created. The London and South East sector, which is actually the main focus, other provincial services, intercity, which we don't have a logo here on the layout, on the top bit of the layout right now, and there was also parcels and freight. Other provincial services rebranded in 1991 as regional railways. Freight was known since its creation as rail freight, and parcels later in 1991 rebranded as Rail Express Systems. The London and South East sector initially had a Jaffa Cake livery, as it was known, of two-tone grey with an orange band between the two greys, but it was only applied sporadically. A few of the Clacton Express 309 units and some Class 4114 SEP units, mainly for the Tunbridge Wells to Hastings electrification, and also a few motor luggage vans gained the Jaffa Cake livery. As I've already stated, the sector itself didn't employ many staff. All the staff at stations and depots, such as drivers, remained employed by the regions, and in fact the LSE started off with a team of the only staff directly employed at the start by the LSE. It was a team of 30 people based at Waterloo. In 1986, Chris Green, who had been involved in the ScotRail branding, it's just visible there, was moved south to become the new sector director for London and South East, taking over from David Kirby. And Chris Green, who's been regarded by some as the best chairman British Rail never had, launched a new campaign called Operation Pride, where there would be a brand new livery and there would also be brand new standards set. He was not prepared to have a rebranding exercise until other standards such as cleanliness were met. Stations, depots, trains were all to be modernised. The LSC sector rebrand was announced on the 10th of June 1986 when 50023 and a class 455 EMU were readied for the launch at Waterloo Station. Guests invited to the launch were amazed to find the station had been completely cleaned up, new tiling installed, shop fronts tidied up, glass on the roof cleaned, giving all a complete air of welcome and appeal. When the two trains rolled in, they were carrying a brand new livery of blue, white, red, white and grey at the bottom. Network South East's new livery. The famous toothpaste livery was a breakaway from anything that had been seen on BR before. Even the Intercity Raspberry Ripple livery was seen by some as subtle compared to this. Some people liked it, some people thought it was too garish, but it had the desired effect because everybody noticed it. The new brand as well was Network South East, thought up by a publicity company, I should add, and as well as those two units, there were all of the other London terminals had at least one train serving it that day in Network South East livery, except Fenchurch Street. They got their first train a couple of months later. The livery had a sneak preview the previous evening when 47573 was the first class 47 to carry the NSC livery, and it got the name The London Standard at Liverpool Street. It carried the LSC's new Network South East livery, but there was no branding on it. However, the very first loco to actually be seen in the livery was 50017, which on the day of the launch operated out of Paddington to Oxford. On the 1st of June 1986, which was a Saturday, a group of train enthusiasts were travelling on the Night Riviera sleeper from Penzance to Paddington when it still ran on a Saturday night. And at Plymouth, an extra class 50 was coupled up to the train, and this rather odd unbranded striking new livery. And it was this livery you see here on 47701, but the stripes were a bit upswept. Network South East employed consultants to work out corporate identity for stations, and this included the famous red lamp posts, red litter bins, and it also included the Network South East flash, which I'll show you on the gem of publicity material that I've got for you. I've got a little booklet. New trains were to be ordered as well, and there were numerous new trains entering service, and these include the class 321s, the class 319s, more of which in a moment, the Networker Turbos and the Networker Third Rail versions, and the Western Turbos, or the Southwestern Turbos, which are really class 158s converted into class 159s. One thing about Network South East, as indeed with the other business sectors, was that it sponsored the investment, and the regions had to do what the sectors paid them to do. An example being Intercity electrifying the East Coast Main Line from Welwyn Garden City over to Edinburgh. It was Intercity that sponsored that investment. The regions simply done it for Intercity. And one of the great success stories for Network South East came in 1988 with the Thames Link service linking Bedford and Luton with Brighton and Wimbledon. That traversed two regions, the London Midland and the Southern, and to get such a new link created, cross-London link created, would have taken months if not years of coordination. But Network South East simply paid the two regions to do the work that they wanted done. The Snowhill Tunnel was reopened. The third rail was extended right through to Farringdon. Modernisation work was done, electrification work was done to Moorgate and to Farringdon, and the bedpan service was diverted into the tunnels to New King's Cross Thames Link station. It was a great success story, so much so that it is still an extremely popular service to this day. And Network South East just simply ignored regional boundaries, and it sponsored this investment. Now, of course, the sad thing about Network South East was it couldn't last. A recession hit in 1992, rail privatisation took place, and in January 1994 Network South East was very sadly disbanded. But Network South East was, in fact, at one point the 15th biggest company in Britain. That came about when the regions were abolished in 1991 and all production staff worked for the sectors as opposed to the regions. Network South East went from employing just 300 people, which was the case in 1990, to a massive organisation with nearly 40,000 staff. If you want some facts about Network South East, it had assets of £4.7 billion, which made it the size at the time in 1991 of the rank organisation, £1,000 million a year turnover, putting it 135th in Britain. And it was by far the largest of BR's 5 business sectors. To give you an indication, the South Eastern Division alone had an income equalling that of the East Coast Main Line of Intercity. So you can understand why it was a huge, huge undertaking. Network South East may well be forgotten, may well be gone, but it is not forgotten, because Network South East still exists as the Network South East Rail Society, and the link to that society is in the description below. And you may have noticed some bits appearing in the top right hand corner of the screen. These are little adverts that I've found about Network South East, or a couple of training videos. There's some extremely long videos as well about Network South East, and these are all in the description below as well. Network South East territory ranged from Manningtree in the north and Northampton all the way over to Salisbury, although Network South East services carried on right as far in as west as Exeter. Exeter Central Station was actually repainted and rebranded as Network South East, although it was actually some way away from the area. And for a short period of time there was a Network South East service from Plymouth to Waterloo as well. Depots included Layer Depot in Plymouth, where some Network South East stock was maintained. As well as the Network South East Railway Society, there's various layouts that deal with Network South East. If you go onto Twitter, you'll find Network South East Latchmere. Give him a follow. On YouTube, Everard Junction by Richard Warren is set in a fictional location on the Great Western Main Line. It employs intercity stock as well as Network South East stock. The Scrap Line on YouTube, if you put in the Scrap Line Exeter, you should get a channel devoted to a layout all about Network South East and Exeter St David's, and based on that station and Lera depot as well. If you're wanting to model Network South East, various manufacturers do make Network South East locomotives, coaches and multiple units. The locomotive you see here before you is a Bachmann product. It was purchased from the Kernow Model Railway Centre and it was a limited edition. The carriages, you can just see one of the carriages right now. I'll just turn the camera that way a wee bit. That one is also a Bachmann product as well. And if I just turn the camera back there, you can just see there the Network South East flash that I was referring to. Of course, formations in the early days were of a mixed livery, and I would suggest that you may want to look on YouTube at videos from the early days of Network South East, or possibly look at books about Network South East, or check out your own internet search engine to get photos of Network South East trains, particularly in the early days when there were mixed livery formations and not all Network South East locomotives carried Network South East livery. Train Crazy Publishing brought out a DVD a few years ago called Network South East Diesels, and I would recommend it, you getting that as well if you want to have a look at some of these great trains that ruled the rails. One other website to look at, and there's a link to it from the Network South East Railway Society website, is Mark Battle's Network South East Years, with lots of publicity, lots of photographs and video clips. But I would only make a wee request, if I may, to the Network South East Railway Society. You had your own photograph section before you remodelled your website. I'd love you to bring that back, because it was on there that I saw the photo of 50017 and its unbranded striking livery on its way to Old Oak Common for the launch of Network South East 9 days later. Could you do us a wee favour and reel on and bring the photo sections back, please? Well, I've told you a bit about Network South East, and I've told you a few layouts to check out, and I've told you about the Network South East Railway Society. But I have got this gem of publicity for you, and that's how we're going to finish off this video. Now this is actually the Network 2000 guide, and it was a supplement to an edition of Rail magazine from 1991. I got this at the Bowness and Kinneil Railway a couple of years ago, and what I'm going to do is just show you some things about it that's in it. I'll try and make it as clear as I can, but it is a bit difficult. But it tells you about one railway for London and the South East, the equipment renewal, the mega projects, and that's a mock-up of a Class 465, and incidentally that actually carried a full 6-digit number. And each of the divisions. Notice that the Waterloo and City line is not mentioned on there because it was actually part of a division. And I should also point out that I think it's the South Central Division or the South West Division was who was responsible for the Island line. That was the organisational structure. The Managing Director, Chris Green, the Directors of Infrastructure, Rolling Stock and Group Directors, and 9 divisional directors, each reporting in turn. And it simply says that from April 1991, Network South East starts the creation of one railway for London for the first time in 150 years, assessing investment on a region-wide basis, providing common standards of equipment, coordinating its services and liaising with London Transport and DOT, the Department of Transport. That gave you an indication of the Network South East area, and this publicity, I don't know if you'll actually be able to get it on an internet auction site, but it talks about projects that were planned and which weren't planned and which are finally getting underway. The Heathrow Express did finally get underway many years later, although in slightly different circumstances. Stansted Airport was a success story with the new Stansted Express units. And there's also, I just take it to here, we'll give you an example of one. There's also talk about this, the Brighton 150. That was the opening of the main line between London and Brighton in 1841. That was the 150th anniversary. The Clapham Junction view, that was the southeast. So there was a look at each division and a look at what the plans were for the future. Now, as we all know, rail privatisation took place and a lot of those projects never got the go-ahead, but eventually they did. However, one bit of Network South East still survives, the network card, and that was the first rail card for everyone, and it gave 1/3 off leisure travel anywhere within Network South East, and it is still in existence to this day. Had it still been around today, it would be interesting to speculate on what Network South East would have been, what its livery would have been, what rolling stock it would have had, the routes it would have run. We can only speculate, but then again, with a model railway, we can actually make our own dreams come true. So, happy birthday to Network South East, and let's just hope one day we actually get Network South East back again. So I hope you've enjoyed this short little video about Network South East and what it was, and that little gem of publicity. And as I say, if you want to learn a bit more about Network South East further, the NSERS is on Facebook as well as the website that below, and I'm sure they'll be welcome if you've got anything to do to help them out. So thank you very much indeed for watching this special tribute video to Network South East, and and of course I can't just finish the shot without letting you see once again that superb livery that was created for the 10th of June 1986. From everybody at Clydebridge station, take care of yourselves, won't you, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.